Hi everyone and welcome back. We are about to start our second season of this career game, having moved from second division Romanian side Some Pankota to Chinese first division side Dalian Chao. Now, I haven't played in China for quite a while in the Football Manager series, so it's a little bit fresh to me. So it's going to be a bit of a learning process. We gave up our last role given the difficulties that the club were in financially. Now, the fact that I ran their finances into the ground, Harry Redknapp style aside, it was a bit of a dead end in the long term. This team shows a little bit more promise. They've got 5 million in the bank at the moment, and they could go for 3, 4 seasons before we see a lack of cash flow. So we can put together, unlike our previous club, we can now put together a bit of a strategy. So what I'm thinking is probably go for like a 3-year plan for aiming for promotion. Now you're saying, well, why can't you just get promoted in 1 season or 2 seasons? Well, if that happens, great. However, I think that there are a couple of limitations on our ability to achieve that. First off, we've got some issues with the rule system in China, and the first of those are that you can only sign 5 domestic over 21 players per season and 8 over 17 players per season. Annoyingly, my predecessor had already made 2 signings before I was offered the role, so we've got 2 chumps that we didn't want eating into that 5-player limit. So I've only really been able to make 3 first-choice signings, which will limit our ability to win effectively this season. And we can only sign 8 over 17 players as well. So we have to really pick and choose who we're bringing into the club and make do with the trash that's already there. Our second challenge is that, having had a look around the squad, I tried to renew our top defender's contract. However, he was having none of it. He was saying that he wasn't happy with the quality of the squad. Now, I think this is something that will persist as an issue. So I need to plan for that. So we're going to have to every season replace our foreigners, more or less, which will provide challenges in terms of squad gelling and consistency. So there's a bit of planning ahead to be done. And obviously at some point we will probably run out of money. And the reason I'm saying that is that our average attendance is less than 4,000 people, despite having a very large stadium. Yeah, we've got a 30,000 seater stadium, and we only fill that up by about 10%. So, given that our wage budget is about £100,000 a week, we are going to run out of money at some point. So we need to plan for that eventuality. So the goal ultimately is get promoted before there's no money left in the bank so that we can build our character's reputation and move on to bigger and better things. So what have we got in store for this episode? We have got 3 fixtures. We have our opening game of the season against Qingdao away from home. We then have a televised match against Shenyang University at home. And we follow that up with an away game against Changchun. In terms of our tactics, one of the problems we have immediately is that we have basically our star striker is injured. Suspended, and we have 2 injuries, and both of these guys are first choice players. Before I go any further, let me just cover off who I have brought in with my limited ability to sign players. So Wu Yake and Yao Hanlin were both signed by my club's previous manager. They are both rubbish. The other signings have been made by myself. So the first area I wanted to strengthen was goalkeeper. I've signed a 24-year-old keeper. He's currently not doing particularly impressively in training, but he has double figures for many of his attributes, and that makes a big difference to our previous first choice keeper, who looks pretty bad in comparison. So Wuyaki will remain as our second choice, no doubt, or maybe even third choice, and our new signing will be our first choice. We also had a complete lack of attacking midfielders. Now, because I want to play a system that has an attacking midfielder, I had to bring in a player. So I signed Deng Zuxiang from Shenhua in the Super League. He's previously a £1 million signing by them, so they must have something about him. He has very poor physical stats, but his technical and mental stuff is pretty much where it needs to be. So I'm pretty comfortable that compared to the other players in this division, he should be reasonably effective. I also forked out 150k on this defender, Han Pengfei. He's a 23-year-old centre defender, and if you check out his current ability and potential ability, he's pretty hot stuff for this club. He's got very strong physical, mental, and actually good technical abilities for the role he's in as well. So I see him being a long-term player for the club. Now, bear in mind that he is probably our biggest earner at almost £11,000 a week. He is going to consume a lot of financial resources, but I think that he's definitely worth it compared to the other dross that seems to be playing professional football in China. I brought in another goalkeeper. I went goalkeeper crazy with my signings. This guy's just a 19-year-old. I had to kind of sign some backups as make weights in the 17 to 21-year-old category. This fella was one of them. He's got some potential, apparently. We will find out if he fulfills that. The second of my under 21 signings, we signed a midfielder called Yang Chengyun. We got him basically in a free transfer. He'd been released from Shenhua in the Super League. And he has decent passing, which is why I picked him up. And good long shots and technique. He is decidedly lacking in certain areas, but again, compared to other players in China, he's not too bad. We picked up 20-year-old Lang Wanji. Now, it doesn't look all that hot, but it was under the 21 age limit. I see him as a short-term measure. I don't think he's going to progress that well as a player. We had no one with finishing other than our Swedish striker, so I had to find something that was a competent backup, and this is the fellow who I settled on. And last but by no means least, I also signed a 16-year-old striker, again on a free transfer. And again, it doesn't look too fantastic. His finishing's below par, he can't concentrate, etc., etc. However, he's got a reasonable turn of pace. And the thing that attracted me to this player is that his potential ability is 4 stars, despite it currently being 1 star current ability. So he could progress as a decent player. Maybe not. We'll have to wait and see. But it was under 17, so I can sign any under 17s really. So I was able to pick him up. So anyway, back to today's game. We are going to go with a 4-2-3-1. Our new goalkeeper Zhu Dihai starts in goal. Our fullbacks are Liu Huan and Wang Guanghao. I'm planning in the second season to basically replace both fullbacks, probably a central defender if Fallman does leave, and possibly for my fourth and fifth signings, we will get a central midfielder and either another striker or a right winger. And I'll show you why when we get to the right winger position. So anyway, those are our fullbacks, D. Fallman and Q. Jai Chen in central defence. Typically, our central defence will be Fallman and Han Pengfei, but Han is injured right after I signed him for 150k, typical. So Jai Chen is the make weight for that position, even though he can play a lot of different roles because he can actually tackle, which is something, I guess. In centre midfield, we have Yang Chengun and Han Zhu. Han Zhu is going to be our captain, I believe, this season. No, not him. He is actually one of our better midfielders. So he's going to be the first choice. Our captain is typically going to be this injured guy here, the 36-year-old Hu Zhaojun. As you can see, he's got 15 leadership, 16 determination. Personality is fairly determined. That's pretty much what we want to see in a team leader. So he's filling that role at the moment. In right wing, so our best right winger is actually Jilton Paraiba. However, we don't have any left wingers that are worth anything. We have this fellow as a right winger. He's a 31-year-old Yao Hanlin. He actually has very good stats for this division. If he maintains these attributes, we will keep him for another year. Well, it looks like we'll be keeping him for 2 years anyway. But in terms of looking at his contract, but in terms of a first choice player, we'll see what his attributes look like at the end of the season, and we'll see if we replace him or not. When wingers go over 30, they seem to decline pretty dramatically, more often than not. And his passing's only 8. I like my midfielders to have a passing of at least 10 at this kind of level. But he's very determined. And I want to create a team that is determined, because what I've found is I've got a lot of problems with complacency, and I think if I have players with lots of determination, it might address that. Left wing, we've got Jilton Paraiba, who is our third choice foreign registrant. Lots of pace, can pass, can dribble. If he leaves at some point, if he takes his drop and leaves, I'm not too worried about it, but he's good for what we need right now. We've already covered Deng in attacking midfield, and up front we've got Nan Yongke. I don't want to have to play this guy too much. As you can see, he is absolutely abysmal, but he does have high potential. So where I need to slot someone into this role when our Swedish striker's not available, it'll be this guy, because I want to see if we can develop his attributes a bit. So enough waffling. That is our lineup for the first fixture. We'll get on with the match and see how we get on in our first game of the season. And we're 1-0 up after only 7 minutes, and Jilton Paraiba opens his scoring account for the season. So 1-0 up at half time. A good first half. We have been pretty comfortable in our performance so far. We're the blue bar here. Not much to say other than let's hope we can keep it up in the second half. Quite pleased that the opposition team, though, hasn't had much in the way of attempts, and we seem to be quite comfortable in the park despite having 3 of our first choice players out and another one subbed off in about 26 minutes due to an injury. So if we can beat teams with a weakened side, this is going to be quite a straightforward season for us. Two 2-0 and Jilton gets his second right after the stroke of half-time. And Yao Hanlon scores his first of the season. 3-0 at full time, and that was a complete and utter cakewalk for our first match in charge of this team. Our standouts, well, no one was actually bad. We had only one player under the 7.0 rating. And that was our new signing and attacking midfielder Deng Zuzang. Jilton Paraiba got 9.2. David Falman, our central defender that wants to leave because he's got a stick up his ass about the squad depth, got an 8.8. Our right back, Wang Guangzhou, got an 8. Everything looks good. In terms of match stats, we pretty much won in every department there as well. Let's have a quick look at the heat map. I've not done this before, but it's an interesting visual. So we certainly were hotter over the course of the game by the looks of it. Our best performance was Jilton, our worst performance was Hanzu, but Hanzu got injured halfway through the first half. He made one mistake. Good opener. We're now 5th after one match, and we will see if we can take that a bit further. Alright, it's time for our second match. Our injury crisis is deepening. Our right back, Wang Gangho, has been injured, and we don't have a suitable replacement, unfortunately. So, in his place, we have Jing Deyang. Our centre midfielder, Han Zhu. Was it? Or was it this fellow? Yu Jiazhen. I think it was Han Zhu. Yeah, it was Han Zhu. So Han Zhu picked up an injury last match. We put in Yang Chen Gyun and Lu Yin Chen, whatever, in centre midfield. And Fej Zulahu has returned as our striker. So that's our lineup for this game. We have 4 first team players out injured. Let's hope it doesn't hamper our performance and we can keep our run of 1 victory from 1 game going. 1-0, and attacking midfielder Deng Zuzang scores in, what was it, about 25 minutes? And after 36 minutes, Lu Yingchen gets his first of the season. So half time, 2-0 up comfortably. We're going to have to take one of our scorers off. He is in very poor condition. We can't afford any other injuries, and we're going to have to unfortunately put someone on that can't really play that position. So what we'll do is we'll bring on this other striker that's appalling. We will move our attacking midfielder back to centre midfield. We'll go 4-2-4. 2-0 up. I didn't really want to create that hole there, but I don't think we'll get much choice in the matter. Match stats. The only thing that's really worrying me is that we're not winning our tackles. Everything else seems to be fine. We'll go with that, I think. Hopefully we can retain our lead in the second half. 3-0, and Fej Zulahu scores his first of the season after 73 minutes. And then gets his second pretty much right after it, 77 minutes. A nice little strike there from just outside the 6-yard area. Opposition have pulled one back after 80 minutes, but surely it's nothing more than a consolation. So, a 4-1 victory at full time. Very comfortable result. Makes me wonder what we could do with a full squad to choose from. Another set of good performances. We conceded a goal there, which was disappointing, but, well, You're going to concede goals. 2 goals for our main striker in the second half. Gets them off the mark. I was happy about that. Yang Qingyun making a case for staying in the first team there with 2 assists. That's quite impressive. You get a 7.8. Let's have a quick look at the match stats. Again, pretty comfortable. We actually had less than half the possession, which is slightly concerning, but I wonder if that was to do with changing our tactics at half time. And our tackles one was pretty poor. 31% there. We need to do a lot better at tackling. Let's look at action zones this time. So most of the play was in midfield, and it looks like Shenyang at University. Well, that was the last 5 minutes. Let's look at overall, shall we? Because that's what matters. Yeah, so Shenyang at University basically controlled the game in midfield. That's where the difference was. However, we had 10% of the time we had the ball up at their end of the park in our possession. So that's a bit better. Looking at the focus of attacks, 47% through the middle for us, 25% down the right, and 27% down the left. And alternatively, most of the opposition attacks came down what is our right-hand side. So maybe we need to tighten up our right-hand side a little bit. Though, to be fair, our defence did look pretty solid when we got into the highlight moments of the game. So there you go, 4-1, 6 points out of 6. We are third in the table, with a goal difference of 6 as well. Okay, so for our third game of the month, we're up against Changchun. They are currently 6th at the table. We've had to make even more changes to our team as our midfielder Yang Chengyong has picked up an injury, leaving us even shorter in our centre midfield positions. What I've did to remedy that is I've dropped our attacking midfielder Deng back into centre midfield and also dropped back Fejzalahu into attacking midfield, and we've put on Nan Yungke as our striker. Other than that, one other change. Hang Pingfei returns from injury. He gets to make his debut, although I need to watch his condition. So that's what we're going with. Centre midfield is wrecked, so we'll have to just hope that what we have in place can hold it together. Though I have to say I'm quite confident given our 2 previous performances. So half time, we've got another injury. What a surprise. Don't really know what we can do about it. Well, I suppose we can bring this guy on. He can play attacking mid left. Can swap him round for Jailton. It's almost as though this game recognises when you've got a working system and does everything it can to absolutely destroy that system, which makes things a little bit less fun because you're fighting an uphill battle all the time regardless of what you do. But anyway, enough complaining. 0-0 at half time. Let's have a look at the match stats. We have been pretty garbage in most departments. I think we'll be playing for a draw, so what we're going to do is we are going to switch it to retain possession, and we're going to go to counter, and I think we'll go with that. And we're 1-0 down. What a surprise. 75 minutes. Of course, the collapse is inevitable once you concede a goal. When the game decides you're going to lose, then there's not much you can do about it, unfortunately. So I could play any 11 players in any particular formation. I could even get other players and insert them in. But if the game has decided you're going to lose a match, you're going to lose it, regardless of what you put out there. It's quite frustrating, actually, when it does that. So what it said here is I've got a whole bunch of injuries now because I won the first 2 games comfortably. Anyway, we're 5th in the table after 3 games. We've got 6 points. We're only 1 point off the top. So, ignoring my salty tears, we're not doing too badly from our opening 3 games, I suppose. And it'll be good to get some of these injured players back into the realms of fitness so we can play our first choice team. There you go, our right winger is now out injured for 2 weeks, because of course he is. Alright, so league roundup, of course, we need to do that. In Spain, Barcelona, remember before I start here that a lot of these leagues are still in their first season, even though I've now started my second season, given that we've started the second season in China, basically. So, in Spain, Barcelona are top after 30 games with 70 points. Real Madrid are chasing them with 67 points. In the Bundesliga, Bayern Munich have not been able to extend their point gap. They are still top on 60 points, but behind them by a mere 6 points are VfL Wolfsburg on 54. Leverkusen make up the top 3 on 51 points. The English Premier League, Arsenal are 6 points clear at the top on 72 points, but Manchester United have a game in hand. They're in second place and they've got 66 points. There's actually no real surprises in that table, unfortunately, at the top. But down the bottom, Liverpool are basically just outside the drop zone in goal difference. They're 17th with only 28 points from 30 games. Jurgen Klopp not doing so well there. In Italy, Juventus are miles away from second place, a whole 15 points ahead. They've got 64 points after 28 games and a very significant goal difference of 34. Roma are second in 49 points, and there's quite a big pack of teams there on between like 43 up to 46 points fighting over third place. In Portugal, FC Porto are top with 65 points after 26 games. Benfica trailing 9 points behind on 56 points, and Sporting Lisbon on 54. And no one else is anywhere near these 3 teams. In France, PSG miles away as well. There's some real gaps forming in a lot of these tables now. PSG have got 78 points, followed by Lyon in 62, and then Monaco and Stade Rennais are fighting out for third on 56 and 54 points respectively. In Russia, Zenit are top after 20 games with 45 points, and second place are Rubin on 42, and Spartak in third on 41. In Belgium, we've reached a kind of championship group. Anderlecht are top there with 32 points. I think the points get halved when they go into championship groups or something like that. That's why it looks so low. But they look probably likely to win their division. The Netherlands, Feyenoord are 6 points clear at the top after 28 games with 63 points. Ajax second in 57, PSV third on 52. In Turkey, Besiktas are top on 50 points after 27 games. Galatasaray are second on 48. And Karabükspor are third, along with Fenerbahce on 45. It's interesting how fluid this particular division has been throughout this season. Every time I look, someone different seems to be up the top. In Greece, AEK Athens are top on 62 points, followed by Panathinaikos on 60. In Scotland, Celtic, this is going to become very familiar very quickly, I think. It's going to be every time I look at this table. It's going to be more or less the same. Celtic are top on 67 points after 31 games. So that is the competitions roundup. Let's see if we can have a look at manager sackings and movements. Alright, so I think we'll just focus in 2 or 3 divisions when we do this, if we do it going forward. So in the English Premier League, Bob Bradley was sacked by Swansea because players lost confidence in him, and David Adams took over as a caretaker, followed by Roberto Di Matteo being hired as the permanent manager. West Brom have parted company with Tony Pulis. They've not yet made a replacement. Jurgen Klopp was sacked, so there you go. The players lost confidence in him. And someone called Michael Beale became their caretaker manager. He was like the under-23 manager. And he was eventually replaced by Marcelo Bielsa. Everton got rid of Ronald Koeman. Joe Royle took over as caretaker, and Sam Allardyce was eventually put in place as their permanent manager, so I'm sure they'll enjoy their long ball play there. And last but not least, Walter Mazzarri lost his role due to poor league position at Watford, and Harry Kewell became their manager. Harry Kewell was their caretaker manager, and he was eventually replaced by Manuel Pellegrini. That was an interesting appointment. Let's have a look at Spain and Germany, I think we'll look at. So, in Spain, a similar number of changes there. Real Hispalis got rid of Gustavo Poyet. It eventually became Rudy Garcia, and that was due to poor results. Deportivo have sacked Gaizka Garitano and have not replaced him yet. Eibar got rid of Jose Luis Mendilibar due to risk of relegation, and he was ultimately replaced by Abel Rosino. Sporting de Gijón got rid of Abelardo due to players losing confidence in him, and he was replaced by Joaquin Caparo. Cesare Prandelli lost his job at Valencia due to poor results, and Laurent Blanc replaced him. And Sevilla currently have a vacancy, with Jorge Sampaio losing his role due to poor league position. And last but not least, in the Bundesliga, we will look at what happened there. Not too many changes in this particular league. So Borussia Dortmund departed company with Thomas Tuchel due to poor league position. Roberto Mancini came in. It's quite an interesting appointment. Niko Kovac lost his job at Eintracht Frankfurt and was ultimately replaced by Thomas Schaaf. And Mainz replaced Martin Schmidt with Andre Villas-Boas due to poor league position. So there you go. There you have it. We will leave it there. As always, thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please do like and subscribe.